Well, you're known as the Hit King with your record of 4,192 hits.
4,256.
Welcome to Clermont Connection. I'm Mark Calitri, new president of the Clermont County Convention and Visitors Bureau. My job is to drive economic growth to Clermont County by stimulating interest in our area attractions and bringing in guests to our hotels. Our guest today is the Hit King Pete Rose, and he will be telling us why this region is so special to him. But first, let's look at a few major activities going on in Clermont County this year.
Some events coming into Clermont County, Ohio in 2014 is a 21 Gun Salute Tournament, May 23rd to the 26th. The Police and Fire Games, June 8th to the 14th. The Oldsmobile Nationals, July 31st to August 3rd. The Catholic War Veterans Conference, August 6th to the 10th. And we'll also have several other rowing events throughout the season.
The 21 Gun Salute Tournament takes place over the Memorial Weekend. It involves 60 to 70 teams that will arrive in Cincinnati from around a 400-mile radius. Between the participants and their families, we anticipate over 2,000 attendees that weekend. The economic impact of this is significant when you calculate hotel rooms, meals, and discretionary spending. We're delighted to welcome this organization into our community for that particular weekend. The Ohio Police and Fire Games, initiated by Sheriff Tim Rodenberg and coordinated by his staff and members of the Convention and Visitors Bureau, will involve police and firefighters from all over the state of Ohio. They will arrive in our community and spend a week participating in numerous sporting events in venues that will occur throughout Clermont County and surrounding counties. This is an event of high economic impact for our community. Start your engines. We have 400 to 500 classic Oldsmobiles coming to our community this summer. Between owners, family members, vendors, and suppliers, we anticipate over 1,000 attendees. Be on the lookout for some classic Oldsmobile automobiles touring our highways and byways this summer. We are pleased to welcome the Catholic War Veterans to our community in August of this year. We are planning a number of interesting and unique tours to a number of our venues within our community. This includes Jungle Gyms, Eastgate Mall, the Starlight Drive-In, the Warbird Museum, and a special trip up to the Wright Pat Air Force Base.
That's briefly what's going on. To learn more, check out our website at visitclermontohio.com. In our next segment, we will be talking with the Hit King Pete Rose and later County Commissioner David Uible.
There's a lot of great things going on in Cincinnati. They have parks where they have concerts and stuff. I remember when I was a kid, we had Coney Island. Now they got Kings Island. But Coney Island was a place to go. When I was a kid, we used to get on the Island Queen down in the Anderson Ferry and take the boat all the way up to Coney Island and get off, and at 8 o'clock it would go back.
Hi, I'm Mark Calitri, back with the Hit King Pete Rose.
Everybody was moving when Rose slashed one that tore past Tim Tuffle at second. With the runners going two, scored easily. Eddie Milton.
Okay, well, Pete, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy travel schedule to spend a few minutes with us. We just got some questions for you.
Okay, fire away on this cold, wintry day.
Well, you've traveled throughout the United States. What makes this region of Cincinnati and this area so special to you?
Well, obviously, one thing, I was born here. Two, I was always a Cincinnati Red fan. Growing up, every boy wanted to be a Cincinnati Red, and I'm no different than anybody else, and I just happened to live the dream and be able to accomplish what I did in this town. But there's a lot of good things going on in this town. I mean, we got one of the better zoos in the world. Just downtown, the ambiance, just when you drive in from the airport, and a lot of people don't know, but the airport's in Kentucky. And I go back to the ferry boat that goes over to Kentucky from Cincinnati that the people used to take to go to the airport. I used to work on that ferry boat when I was 13 years old. It's right in the Anderson Ferry and River Road, and that's where I was raised. And, you know, there's a lot of history in Cincinnati. I mean, baseball started here in 1869. The first night game was played in 1935. So, you know, most of the things that I like about Cincinnati are involved in baseball. You know, I'm not the type of guy that goes to plays, the Phantom of the Opera. That's great, but I'm too macho to do that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of great things going on in Cincinnati. They have parks where they have concerts and stuff. I remember when I was a kid, we had Coney Island. Now they got Kings Island. But Coney Island was a place to go. When I was a kid, we used to get on the Island Queen down in the Anderson Ferry and take the boat all the way up to Coney Island and get off, and at 8 o'clock it would go back. That's how we went to Coney Island once a year. So that was our big vacation day. And I remember when I was a kid, the only vacation I ever went on wasn't even a vacation. We would drive down to Madison, Indiana, because every year they'd have the Madison Regatta, the boat races on the river. And that was our vacation, to drive down the 52 to the Madison, Indiana, and watch Miss Budweiser win every year. But it was fun. All part of my life.
Well, tell us about your military experience.
Well, I joined the Army in the winter of '63 and went to Fort Knox for my basic training, which was a mistake. But I had to do it then because I was a baseball player and I didn't want to miss baseball season. And what I did in those days, you could be drafted or you could join the reserves. And what I did is I did 6 months of active duty, then I did 2 weeks every year for 6 years. And when we came back here from my active duty, I was at Fort Thomas. That's where I was in the Army. And when we joined Fort Thomas, Johnny Benson and I become cooks. And the reason we were cooks, and it was within the rules, on the weekends we were serving, we would go at 4:30 or 5 o'clock, and that got us off at 12 o'clock where we could still play the day games if we had day baseball games, because they weren't going to change the schedule because of me and Johnny Bench.
Right.
Then, and they won't do it today.
Was there a national event that happened while you were serving?
Yes. I remember it was a Friday, I believe, and President Kennedy was assassinated.
Oh, wow.
I was in the Army in Fort Knox, and that was kind of a big deal when the leader of the free world was assassinated here in the military. But it was pretty cold down there doing basic training, and that was the first time I was ever away from home.
Wow. Well, you're known as the hit king with your record of 4,192 hits.
4,256.
You're on. We've kept you on your toes.
Well, 4,192 was the record, but I ended up with 4,256. So, you know, we don't want
Good.
people calling and say, "Mark, you know what you're talking about is 4,256." That's what it is, 4,256.
You've also got the record for the most at bats.
And I got the record for the most games, and I got the record for the most wins.
The most outs. What about that? Comment on that.
That's okay. I mean, that's okay. I mean, the guy second in that list is pretty good. His name's Carl Yastrzemski. You know, I mean, I played a lot. I batted 14,000 sometimes. I got 4,000 and some hits. It was fun making the outs, though, having the opportunity to try to get base hits. You know, longevity is part of being a good person, whether you're in business or whether you're in sports. And I played 24 years, and I was pretty much injury-free over most of my career, and I always was surrounded with great players. You know, I played with 10 Hall of Famers, the first one being Frank Robinson, and then the last one being Barry Larkin. Then you throw in Bench Morgan and Perez, and you throw in Carlton and Mike Schmidt, and you go up to Montreal, and you throw in Gary Carter and Andre Dawson, and you come back home as player manager, and you throw in Barry Larkin. So, and I played for Sparky Anderson, a Hall of Fame manager. You know, played against a lot of Hall of Famers, hit off of 19 Hall of Fame pitchers. You know, I don't know how many Hall of Famers I played against, but pretty darn many, I think.
A college coach recently told me that what differentiated you from today's players is your hustle. Tell me about hustle.
Well, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Does that coach tell you none of his players hustle? I don't think it was the hustle. I think what I had, one, I was aggressive, and two, I had determination. And three, I understood that you were playing baseball to entertain people.
You've already started giving us some advice on younger people. What would
Yeah.
you say to Justin Bieber or Miley Cyrus and what's going on today?
Well, Justin Bieber, you know, when he first came out, my fiance's daughter went to meet him at breakfast one time, and he was really a good kid. He was a delightful kid, and I don't know what's happened to him the last 3 or 4 years. It just seems like you can't think he's hanging with the wrong crowd because he makes so much money. He's so talented. It just seems like right now he's in that situation where he wants negative press, and there's some people who think press is press, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. I don't know how he feels, but it's going to be interesting when he starts doing concerts again. With all the trouble he's had recently, is people going to buy his tickets? Now, I remember Miley's dad. I met him a long Billy Ray Cyrus. I met him a long time ago. I think when she was just a real little girl, and you know, she's Mark. When they go to Hollywood, they start doing strange things, whether it's tattoos or hair color or haircuts. But she's very popular. That Disney Channel makes a lot of stars out of a lot of kids, and she's another one that just become a big star. I'm not going to tell them how to run their life. I mean, if they were under my roof, I would probably sit down and talk to them. But they should be in good hands. I mean, I would think they're in good hands. I mean, Justin Bieber's mom seemed to be in charge. I know his dad's not, but when you see his dad's a tat guy. He's got tattoos everywhere, and I think he left Justin's mother a long time ago when Justin was a little boy. So there's always circumstances that you and I don't know.
Okay, fair enough. You're so loved here in Cincinnati, and so many people look up to you. But do you have any regrets?
Of Cincinnati? The only regret I have in my life, the only regret, is making the mistake I made when I gambled on baseball. If I could change everything in my life, that's the only thing I'd change. I wouldn't change the way I attacked the game of baseball. I grew up in a period of time where it was really fun growing up. The way I approached the game in the minor leagues, what I do today. I mean, everything's hunky-dory, and I just, I made a mistake. And some people were willing to let me go on with my life, and there's going to be some people that are never going to let you go on with your life. But I'm just one of these guys. I live in America. I'm an American, and I believe, and I could be wrong, but I believe that eventually you will get a second chance. It's a shame, but I took the wrong vice. Gambling was the wrong vice when you're talking about baseball. And all the vices are bad, okay? They're all bad. But and people get confused when I say this. But if I'd have been into drugs, they'd have sent me to rehab and I'd been reinstated. If I'd have been into alcohol, they'd have sent me to rehab and I'd been reinstated. If I'd have been a spousal beater, they'd have sent me to rehab and I'd probably have been reinstated. But I took gambling, and I know what happened in 1919 with the Black Sox, and I know how ticklish they are about the world of gambling. But all four of them are bad. Don't do any of them. But I just chose, in my eyes, as far as baseball is concerned, the wrong one.
Fair enough. I was talking with famed defense attorney Burr Travis, and
Hey, Burr.
he says, what else do you have to do to say you're sorry? Some people are just not going to accept
That's
it, are
okay.
they?
I mean, that's okay. I mean, we've seen things in my lifetime. We saw Mr. Nixon say sorry, and people forgot about him, give him a second chance. Bill Clinton. Those are guys who run our country. There's a lot of people that have been given second chances. But, when I sit here and talk to you, I'm trying to figure out why what I did hurt anybody that's watching you and I talk. It hurt me. It hurt my family. It didn't hurt you. It didn't hurt the cameraman. It didn't hurt the producer. Am I right about that?
Right.
I mean, I don't know why people just can't get over it. I mean, it was 1987 is when I've been on baseball. 1987. I mean, how many years ago was that? It's time to move on as far as I'm concerned. But
Let's move on to a new direction. The next few questions are going to be the top questions that women want to know from Pete. And you have a large following of female fans, so let's jump right in there. Number one question is, did you ever feel bad for the team that you beat?
No, not at all. Not at all. Not even when I was in Little League. For those mothers and sisters and aunts and uncles and grandmas that want to know that question, no, you got to teach your kid to win. You got to teach your kid to win at an early age, and when he becomes 18 or 19, or she becomes 18 or 19, she got a better chance of making a positive decision. You know, but don't forget, you're listening to a guy talk who spent 29 years in the big leagues. You know, it's professional sports. The winners make the money. The winners get the rewards. The winners feel better. I mean, for that same mother to ask that question, I'll ask her this question: if your son is playing Little League baseball and he gets a couple hits and they win the game, do you feel better on the way home, as opposed to if he goes 0 for 4 and they lose the game? If he goes 0 for 4 and he loses the game, does he call Grandma or Grandpa and tell him? If he hits a home run, does he call Grandma or Grandpa and tell him? Yes, he does. So there is something to winning. Not to the standpoint that you become a sore loser, but winning. Winning is when you're playing sports. It's just like when you take a test. Would you rather get an A or a D? I would hope you'd say an A. It's the same thing in sports.
At one point, you were the highest paid player in sports.
Yeah.
And also read, while you were serving your punishment, you were earning 11 cents an hour.
Was I getting that much? I was in the welding department. You know what my job was? I was talking about a USP Marion. Hey, you know, nobody likes to talk about being in prison, but that's one of those deals where I underpaid my taxes by 3.5%. You know, I was in the welding department, and we were all the way in the back. They kept me as far back from all the prisoners as they could. And whenever the warden was coming back, they'd always call us to make sure that we knew he was coming. And every time he'd come back, before he'd get there, I'd be sweeping the floor in there. And he looked at me one day, he says, "You know, Pete," he said, "I got to tell you something." He said, "This floor is the cleanest floor in this whole prison, because every time I come back here, you're sweeping the floor." But my job was to make sure the coffee was made by 8:10 every morning.
Well, who is your favorite athlete?
My favorite athlete? My favorite athlete?
Mm-hmm.
You mean ever?
Anywhere, yeah.
My dad. My dad was a great player. He was a basketball player. I was the ball boy up at Christ Church, and football, I was the water boy down at Hampton Field and Sailor Park and Trolley Tavern. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
2-1 pitch from Shawn. There it is. Rose has a good job.
Thank you, Pete. And to learn more, check out our website at visitclermontohio.com. In our next segment, we will be talking with County Commissioner David Uible. Our guest is David Uible, who will tell us about life as a county commissioner, successful business owner, and rancher. Welcome, David. What makes this region so special to you?
You know, Clermont County is a special place. It's affordable housing. It's a good place to raise a family. It's a good place to retire. Quality of life, nice natural resources with the Ohio River. We have Harsha Lake at East Fork Lake. East Fork State Park, one of the largest parks in Ohio at 5,000 acres, with camping and trails and swimming and boating, fishing. But all around, Clermont County is a good place to call home.
Can you tell me about your business?
My business is Uible Management Group. Uible Management Group has been in business since 1989. I specialize in buying distressed assets.
Okay.
I've owned companies as far away as Moscow, Russia, and Moscow, Ohio. Maybe one of the few people that can have both Moscows on my business card.
Can you tell us what makes this region good for you and business?
Well, I would like to just comment on how it's good for my business. Specializing in manufacturing, Cincinnati has always been, for 100+ years, a hotbed for manufacturing in the United States. As a result, there's a lot of good machinists here still. Many of them live in Clermont County and Brown County and Adams County. So being here in Clermont County off of 125, State Route 125, it's an easy place to access, and we've always had good access to employees.
Recently, the Clermont County Convention and Visitors Bureau coordinated a group effort to bring back rowing to Harsha Lake. Would you care to comment on the rowing group and their economic impact to Clermont County?
I would say, go out on a limb here, but I would say that rowing regattas are one of the biggest single engines for filling beds in hotel rooms, economic development, if you will. When we have a rowing regatta, a 3 or 4 day weekend, every bed in the county is full at the hotel level. Sales taxes are up, restaurants are full, People in Clermont County don't realize how much of a gem we have in Harsha Lake. It's probably one of the top 3 rowing venues in the United States for long course. It's ideally suited for races with the type of water it has, the shelter it has. But it's a phenomenal asset, natural resource, and I think we need to make a better use of it.
Okay. Who's your best help in government?
My best help, I think I'd have to look at the people that work for county government. And as I said earlier, coming into office, I wasn't familiar with all the employees at the county level. But now that I'm there, I have a true appreciation for the quality and caliber and capabilities of the employees at the county level.
What do people in the community tend to criticize Clermont County for?
I think traffic at rush hour. Okay. I think it's easy to say we would all be in agreement that State Route 32 during rush hour is a bottleneck. However, it is something that's more than just on our radar. We're in the process of improving that now with over $80 million in highway improvements taking place in that corridor now on 275 and 32 and 28. But along 32, our plans going 5 years out is to fix the interchanges along Glen Estee, Withensville, and Bach Buxton, and further up to improve the flow of traffic on 32 during rush hour to open up that corridor for more opportunities of business development and such.
Who are the best businesses in Clermont County?
Oh, we've got a lot of good companies here, but let's just pick one industry. How about bakeries? Okay. In the Eastgate area on Glen Estee, Withensville, we have Becknell's Bakery, and they have great cupcakes and cakes. Okay. Over in Amelia, I love Marcello's Donuts, Marcella's Donuts, the most decadent donuts I've ever had. Down in New Richmond, there's Peacock Pastry. My favorite there is the Blonde Brownie.
Okay.
But the key is that they're all family owned and family operated. They're not franchises, which is nice. Right. But I think those are just highlighting one sector of the economy, but I think we have some good bakeries here in Clermont County.
Sure. How has the Convention and Visitors Bureau helped the community?
Well, I think the mission for the Convention and Visitors Bureau is to stimulate the economy by filling hotel rooms and increased in sales tax as a result of that. But you know, the Convention and Visitors Bureau has done a great job attracting car shows, soccer tournaments, rowing regattas, which are huge from an economic standpoint. We've had art shows, Pioneer Days in Milford, Riverfest down in New Richmond with the cardboard boat race, world-renowned. But all of these events and many more allows the Convention and Visitors Bureau to accomplish its objective, and that is to increase the use of the hotels and sales tax, generating sales tax.
I was just down in New Richmond yesterday. Most people don't know about the cardboard racing show is that there's a Titanic award.
Oh, really?
For the quickest boat that sinks.
I didn't know that. That's a first. But you know, they do have the museum there as well.
Yes.
And they've had people as far away as Finland, I think, come and visit the museum. Mm-hmm. It's even been featured on ESPN, I believe, as a reference for the race day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So, tell us about your buffalo ranch.
Well, I moved to New Richmond and buying an old distressed ranch. It was actually a dairy farm originally. And we decided that buffalo were more natural for the area. They were naturally found here back in the 1700s until they were hunted to extinction in the Midwest and then pushed out west. But the buffalo industry has been good for us. We've enjoyed it. We treat them as natural animals or wild animals. They roam the property freely. They're free range. We don't administer any antibiotics or hormones. They're grass finished. It's a good product. It's high in omega-3, and that's the good fat versus omega-6, which is your bad fat. So it's high in omega-3. It's low in cholesterol. Wow. People sometimes are allergic to meat, and buffalo meat is hypoallergenic. People that have meat allergies are not allergic to buffalo meat. But we've been at it now as a family for 20 years, and they're beautiful animals. we enjoy it. It's very nice to wake up in the morning with a cup of coffee and look out over the pasture and see 50 or 60 head roaming around. It's very idyllic, and that's why we came to Clermont County. So I'd have to say for us it's working.
Okay. Well, Mr. Uible, I want to thank you for your time today, and it was really enjoyable, and I think the information you gave us was informative, and I think the people of Clermont County are lucky to have you, and I wish you all the best this upcoming year.
Well, thanks for having me in, Mark, and as head of the Convention and Visitors Bureau, I wish you all the best and keep up the good work. It's an important bureau here in the county, and we appreciate everything you're doing.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for joining us, and call if you know someone we should have on or something you would like to see us explore. Our phone number is 513-732-3600. Tell your friends about the program and go to our website and tell us what you think we should be doing.